1 out of every 4 Black households in this country does not have enough food. That's 25%.
I don't like that.
When you got kids in the house, that number jumps over 30%. And in the middle of that, the federal government just carved 4 million Americans off the SNAP rolls. And the Black household is the one bleeding the most. Not because we did anything wrong, because policies was written that way. Written with a pen, that is, by people you voted for. The USDA data and the Center of Budget and Policy Priorities data show the same exact thing. Nearly 25% of Black households are food insecure. That's almost 2.5 times the rate in white households. For Black families with children, the number is over 30%. That is not at risk of hunger. That is hunger. Because today, this week, all of these things are happening right now. And here's a kicker, ladies and gentlemen. The federal government just ended the annual food security survey. They stopped collecting the data right before the cuts were about to hit. You know why they stopped counting is because when you have data that shows information, no one can argue with the data. So instead of arguing with the data, people going to court, going back and forth, and the data has been verified by an oversight committee, which they always have, especially with these government entities. They just eradicate the data. Say, you know what? We're not gonna copy. We're not gonna go through with the data anymore, right? Because based on the 2024 data from the USDA Economic Research Service, it states here approximately 24.4, and I'm rounding up to 25% of Black households in the U.S. are food insecure, roughly double the national average. This consistent data indicates that nearly 1 in 4 Black households faces high, sustained rates of food insecurity. It goes on to state here that it indicates that 27% of Black children live in food insecure households in 2023. And believe me when I tell you, these are numbers that are not getting better. Because as we look at this particular chart, and this is coming from the USDA.gov, and if you look at these 10 sort of racial groups that they created, we're in the top tier of the half. Now, they have all households, which is an aggregate of all of these put together. So the number seems quite low. But as they separate them and divide them, the American Indian, Alaskan Native, who probably are not federal recognized tribes, so they don't have those treaties and the government subsidies that they provide, reparations, by the way. They also have another category, multiracial American, Indian, and white. So again, I think that has to do with Native Americans and the $5 Indian, so to speak. Some of those tribes may not be federally recognized. And then you have Black, which is a pure racial group, and they're mostly talking about American descendants of slaves. They're not really including immigrants. And then you have multiracial, all others combination. But if you look at the light color green here, food insecure. And then in the dark green, you have very low food secure. We are operating in the highest tier of disproportionality of food insecurity in this country. And we continue to have an immense amount of data to prove us right, to prove that these things are absolutely true. Again, this is coming from the CBPP. It states here that the health risks and hardship associated with food insecurity fall disproportionately on people of color. Over the past 20 years, both Black and Hispanic households have been at least twice as likely as white households to experience food insecurity. Now, this particular number is from 2021, and we were roughly already at 20%. And this number has not gotten any better. It's gotten worse.
Wait, what?
So again, even under the Biden administration, that's why I keep telling everyone that we are in a one-party system, because just because you think you're voting Democrat and you think the Republicans are not going to do anything, which they don't, it seems as though that the Democrats do more so for immigrants and other groups of people than they have Black Americans, because even though we vote for them 85% more so than any other demographic, they are not even creating legislations that are going to support their voting bloc. Because right before the cuts were about to hit, and this is what they're doing, they are quietly announcing they are pausing the food insecurity survey, the things that this information comes out. This is what data produces, what's actually happening to people. And for the first time in over 20 years, tell me again how this isn't on purpose. See, if you go back to July of last year, the Republican megabill, what the president likes to call the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or as some people will say, the One Big Beautiful Abomination Bill, nobody on the floor read the whole thing, right? But the CBO scored the snap chapter, and that tells you exactly who they were coming for. Because between 3.5 and 4 million Americans projected to lose SNAP, we're talking about children, seniors, veterans, disabled people, parents who work full-time at wages too low to eat. And the bill does three things simultaneously. And this is what you need to understand, because everybody was for all this government overspending, how large government was, all these social programs. I've been telling you guys for years that America is a combination. It's a hybrid. It's capitalist and it's socialist all at the same time. But the socialist part of America is what kept America strong, believe it or not, to a certain degree. I'm not a socialist. Okay, I'm a capitalist just as well as other people, but I want you guys to think about when you take safety nets away, what happens to people. I believe there needs to be an aspect of the American capitalist society to have temporary socialist programs, meaning that we're going to provide subsistence, we're going to provide support, we're going to provide benefits for a particular time so we can get those American citizens on their feet and back into the workforce, however that they may be. Maybe they have certain ailments, maybe they have certain disabilities, but again, there's something for every American to do, especially now that we have AI. They can probably create prompts, run prompts, monitor prompts, whatever it may be. There's something for everyone to do.
He's a genius.
It brings back what they call cost neutrality on the Thrifty Food Plan, which is fancy sort of political talk in Washington, basically stating that we can't increase your food stamps to match inflation unless we cut somewhere else.
What an idiot.
Because the Biden administration had revised the Thrifty Food Plan upward in 2021 to actually reflect what grocery costs in 2021. And the new bill, it actually reverses that. You get a SNAP benefit price for a 2019 grocery bill, and in 26, when eggs are $12. Now, again, that's me being a little bit hyperbolic because it's closer to around $4 or $5, but in Hawaii, it's around $10 for a dozen of eggs. But it expands the work requirement age range.
And that's what we want. Okay.
See, you used to have to demonstrate work activity between 18 and 54 to keep these benefits. Under this new law, that rises to 64, meaning a 50-year-old Black man who got laid off from a warehouse job in Memphis last November is now required to document 20 hours of work activity or he loses his benefits. And in a job market where Black unemployment is 7.1%. And again, there was all these safety nets and safety guards and guardrails that allowed people to go out and attain work. Now that this new administration is gutting every single thing, and you have the vice president saying you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. You have all the bigots, all the racists, all people who are discriminating, all the people who feed into the rhetoric that Black people are low IQ. They're not hiring Black people. Don't get me wrong. Are there corporations, are there organizations hiring Black people? Absolutely. All what I'm stating is this. They're not hiring Black people like they're used to.
It's really painful.
And I know the racists, the people who don't believe that they're racist, they're going to just go off the statistics. They're going to tell me in my comments, no, that's because they wiped away DEI and you guys don't like it no more because now you don't have preferential treatment over every other demographic of people. And even though we have very contradicting information from the Department of Labor, they're still believing in the rhetoric because of the people that they vote for, the people of the coattails that they hang on to. And we know that the statistics, which they are eradicating because that's how we prove people wrong, they're getting rid of the truth. This is how you get rid of the truth. You get rid of the statistics because now we can't say, well, DEI benefited white women more than anybody. Affirmative action benefited white people more than anybody else. Once you get rid of the statistics, you get rid of the truth, and that's exactly what they're doing. See, if shift costs onto the states, red states that are already underfunded will pass those cuts straight down the line to the families. When you think about states like Alabama already announced restrictions this month, Mississippi and Louisiana are right behind them. This is the trigger law model. See, Washington actually blesses the cut. The state executes it and everybody points at the somebody else when they're hungry or when we're hungry. Fact. I had to mention Alabama specifically because this month just pushes through SNAP restrictions that tell you exactly where this is going. Limits on what you can buy. Now, granted, some of these I absolutely agree with when it comes to a health standpoint. Sodas, they're out. Certain prepared foods, they're out. Candy is out. Sounds sensible on a headline, but if you read the fine print, I agree with sodas. Sodas are not good for you, in my opinion, and given the science. Candy is not good for you, makes you pack on weight. But we have to read the fine print because the same legislator that won't expand Medicaid, won't fund free school lunch, won't raise the minimum wage, now wants to be your nutritionist. So they have their hands in all of these different bags that they're not experts on, that they don't really know the statistics on. This is how government inject themselves into the people's lives and control us based upon how they feel. See, again, we, the people, according to the Constitution, as Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Native American, Pacific Islander, etc., we are the ones who are supposed to be running this country. And these are the people that are in place with the law degrees and politicians and all these different apparatuses of degree attainment, and they have the knowledge of how the government should be ran. They are our representatives. We are the one who voted them in. And that's the problem. We keep voting in people that sounds good on stage, but when you look at the legislation that they propose are very harmful to the people. Now it's more harmful to Black people than any other group, but everyone's being affected. See, in Birmingham, as well as in Selma, as well as in Montgomery, where half the zip codes are food desert and the only grocery store inside 2 miles is a damn gas station. If the gas station doesn't sell approved items under the new rules, that family doesn't eat. This is not about health. This is about control. When a state has the highest Black poverty rate in the country and its response to hunger is let's police the poor people's shopping cart, what you are watching is a criminalization of being broke. Same instinct that built the prison system. It's just a different hour. It's just a different way of going about it. And while SNAP is getting cut at the consumer end, the USDA is cutting at the producer end. Last month, the Department of Agriculture canceled an increasing land, capital, and market access program. $300 million initiative stood up specifically to help underserved farmers, Black farmers, indigenous farmers, Latino farmers, women farmers buy land, access capital, and break into federal markets. All of it's gone. They canceled it. It's over. This is the USDA that already owes Black farmers from the Pigford versus Glickman settlement and in the 2021 American Rescue Plan debt relief provision that got gutted in court. This is a department that has a documented 100-year-old racial discrimination against Black growers. And now, this year, it is pulling the One Real Access program that was starting to close the gap. See, Black farmers own a fraction of 1% of the U.S. farmland, a fraction of 1%, not 1%. And that number was finally starting to move just a little. Now it's stagnated. Now it's frozen.
America's going to be great again.
So I really want you guys to connect the dots here. At the grocery store level, Black households can't afford the food. At the farm level, Black growers can't afford the land to grow it. Both ends of the food chain squeeze from Washington. And at the same time, this is not a coincidence. This is architecture, what I've been telling you guys for a very long time. Well, out with the bad news, in with the good news.
Okay.
Because here, I'm not trying to leave you guys in a black hole. When the federal pipe closes, Black community infrastructure actually opens. Now, I want you guys to look at what's actually working right now, because we have mutual aid refrigerators in Atlanta, Baltimore, Oakland. We have community fridges that anybody can open, take what they need, leave what they can. When it comes to Black churches, pantry networks, those that have it, the AME, the Kojink, the NBC. They're moving tens of thousands of meals a week through basements and fellowship halls. We have Black-owned co-op grocery stores stepping up, Gem City Market and Data, Mandela Grocery Cooperative in West Oakland. We have Renaissance Community Co-op work continuing in Greensboro. And in Chicago, believe it or not, Mayor Brandon Johnson dropped emergency microgrants totaling around 4,500 to 67 neighborhood groups earlier this month to backfill SNAP losses for small Black and Latino businesses. But it's still not the amount of money he gave to illegal immigrants. So we're not going to forget that either, Brandon Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm not a Chicagoan, but again, I have a voice. I'm going to speak for my brothers and sisters in Chicago, and I'm going to tell you this. You did a lot more for illegal immigrants than you ever did for the Black community. But this is a mayor doing what the federal government won't. And I really want you guys to really memorize the play here, because the next wave of organizing has to happen at the city council and state legislator level, not Washington.
I see.
Because a lot of these states that you pay sales tax, income tax, property tax, they have the money. Cities like Chicago, they have the money. But again, like Brandon Johnson, he gave it away to thousands of illegal immigrants.
I mean, my God.
But I digress. Because your aunt with a deep freezer full of meat she brought on sale, to a certain degree, that could be infrastructure. Your cousin's church pantry, infrastructure. The Black farmer at the farmer's market on Saturday who will cut you a deal on collard greens, that's infrastructure. We have done this before, whether it be in enslavement, Jim Crow, the Great Migration. The food got to the table. We find each other, and we always do. Here's where we land. 5 moves, right? Because check your SNAP status in writing. If you, your parents, your grandparents, anybody in your house is on SNAP, log into your state portal this week and get a written statement of your current award and your recertification date.
Ready?
Also, what you guys can go to is my website, totally free. You hit help and resources, and it goes right to where you can apply for food assistance through SNAP. You can also look at the 200 plus food banks that Feeding America has. And you can absolutely right there in your state, your city, your town can call 211 to see all the resources that may be available to you, whether it be food, housing, mental health support, healthcare, education and grant, emergency cash assistance. If I were all of you in need of any assistance, I would try to do all of these. And last but not least, when it comes to the resources, I also have it state by state, and you guys can look for your state, click the link, and absolutely apply. I want to make sure that my people have the resources, have the information to assist them in these very difficult times. Because the paperwork is going to change under you in the states with trigger rules, right? Get a receipt now. I want you guys to really learn, the work requirement rule before it bites. If you are between 54 and 64, the new work hour documentations kick in on a rolling schedule by state.
What do you mean by that?
You have to call your county DHS office, ask in writing what hours you must document and then by when. You have to have all this information. Because don't get caught at the window with no paperwork. We need to put money into Black food sovereignty, the National Black Food and Justice Alliance. We have the Soul Fire Farm, Black Urban Growers, HBCU agricultural programs, Florida A&M, Alcorn, Tuskegee, Virginia State. This is how we build the alternative pipeline while the federal one narrows. Show up to your city council, because you're the one who are paying taxes in that state. You're the one who are paying taxes in that city. Show up to your city council. Municipal budgets in your city have a line item for food access. Most people have never heard of it. If your mayor and your council are going to backfill the federal SNAP cut the way that Brandon Johnson did in Chicago with a meager and measly 4,500, but he did something. I give him a little grace. He did something, but he did more for illegal immigrants. I digress.
Goddamn right.
They need to hear from you in the public comment slot. We either be the 3 minutes that they allot, bring a bag of receipts, bring a bag of information to let them know what's truly going on, even though they already know. But this is more so for the people of your city and your state to know, so they can get on the bandwagon and expand the help and resources. And you guys need to vote in every election. especially on the local and state. Okay, the federal is something different. It takes time for a lot of things to trickle down, except when Iran holds hostage because America blocked the Strait of Hormuz. Now Iran is now trying to fire on ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and gas prices are still teetering up and down, more so up than they are down. But again, that is what's happening on the federal level, but the direct impact on the people is on the state level. Because state legislators are the ones signing the trigger cuts. State elections are every year. You guys have to register. That's why this particular website exists, ourvoicevote.org, which has a plethora of information on different resources and understanding and education. But you need to register, you need to verify, you need to vote, and bring 3 people with you, bring 5 people with you. See, my opinion, food is not a policy. Food is a test, because when a government tells you who gets to eat and who doesn't, it is telling you who it considers a citizen and who it considers overhead. Right now, they're telling a quarter of Black American we are overhead, 25% of us. And that the answer is not a tweet, right? We can yell out, we can scream, we can put all these things on social media, TikTok, Instagram, etc. The answer is a movement. Pantries, co-ops, council meetings, balance, and the receipts to back it. Nevertheless, subscribe to the channel, share, and you guys stay locked in. Peace.